All right,
Let's get it.
we're recording. Well, tonight, thank you all for giving up a good chunk of your time tonight. Maybe the TV didn't have too much excitement and you thought, well, this was the best show in town. Well, guess what? You made the right choice because it is the best show in town. We have Demario Scott on standby. He's good in case I fall asleep or something. He's just going to pick the call back up for me, like the ever ready bunny.
Oh
And we
yeah.
are really excited because last night and tonight, the generous offer of Katie Tarr, who said, Sheila, I would love to jump on these calls this week to support all of our Norwex consultants and share with them from my heart what has served me well in my business. So I can tell you last night, it was almost as if we were on the Oprah show and I was Oprah, because I felt like it was just a great conversation, almost like an interview with lots of nuggets of training. So I guess what I'm trying to let you know is if you think you were joining a call tonight where Sheila Hercules is reading from a book and saying, okay, and then we go to, and then we're going to do this, you are sadly in for disappointment because that's not how we're rolling tonight. We are going to have a fabulous time because I think that you joined this call tonight because you're curious. What's the buzz about becoming a Norwex leader? Some of you are probably consultants and you might have even just joined. And I get that we're going to have some leaders on the call tonight because they are going to want to know, what is this buzz all about? Am I missing something that I could be doing? And wanted to check out to make sure that Sheila and Demario behave themselves. They know Katie will. And then the balance of you, well, something spoke to your heart. You would like to know if you can build it bigger with Norwex. We're so glad you're here. Now, before I introduce our guest speaker, and it's going to run like a conversation, you're going to notice that we may or may not follow the slides because we're going to go with the flow. I pay a lot of attention to what you write in. In fact, I look at it all the time. Demario, you'll let me know if people can't hear me, right? Because I have another person who says they can't hear me.
I got you covered, Sheila.
Okay, so I guess people who can't hear it's probably at their end. So I want to start off by challenging you as a Norwex consultant. Is this your year? Have you decided that whatever big is, you're going to build it big and you're going to do it this year, that the time is now, whatever that is? And I'm not even suggesting that leadership is actually on your radar. It might just be a curiosity. I think what intrigued you to get on the call tonight, I got to be honest with you, is because I said, or Demario said, we're going to have someone talk about bookings. And I get it because everything starts at the party. Everything starts with the booking. No matter how much we want something, no matter how good we think we would be at it, if we don't have any bookings, we're unemployed consultants. We're unemployed consultants. And that doesn't feel good because nothing's going to happen when we're unemployed. So the whole way to get your business moving is to make sure that when you open up a calendar, you know you've got a business. You feel like you've got a business because you got things to look forward to. That's going to be what a lot of our talk tonight is, because to me, everything else just falls into place. And a lot of it comes down to, believe it or not, common sense. Maybe even a little bit of good manners. If you hang with the call, you'll see what I mean. So now I want to introduce Katie Tarr. I got lots of beautiful comments for, I suppose, the wisdom, if you will, of inviting Katie to the call last night. Lots of people were excited and very, very heartfelt thank yous. You see, and now that I spent the evening with Katie Tarr, I know a little bit about Katie Tarr. I know that you're going to identify yourself with Katie. Is there such, and if you're a guy on the call other than Demario, great. But because 98% of us are gals, I tend to use the she said, we do, us girls, and I want you to be okay with it at the get-go, okay? Because I know we got men doing this business. I get it. But I talk about the female persuasion. But I think what you're going to discover that Katie is every woman. She's you and she's me. She's done some great things. some marvelous things, and she's had success. But I have to suggest to you that Katie asked for it. She had the courage to ask for it. Yes, maybe a few nice things fell in her lap, like her wonderful launch party that she had, which she's going to tell you about. But I think it comes from living a life of intention and being able to step up and have the courage to ask for what you want in life. So, Katie, are you there, my friend?
I am here.
Okay, so you got to make sure you speak good into your microphone. Katie, my friend, you are a red jacket leader, what we call a red jacket leader in Norwex. You wear a red blazer, and that's because you have elevated yourself through the career plan. You started as a consultant, you promoted to a team coordinator. From there, you became a sales leader. And from there, you became an executive sales leader. And from there, you moved to a senior executive sales leader. And the shocker is that you joined last June, 7-8 months ago. So you shared some funny stuff with us last night. I thought it was funny in a cute way, meaning like, oh boy, didn't we shock them. Katie, give us a little background on what you do outside of Norwex and why you started using Norwex products in your house, and then to the point in which you joined Norwex and why you joined Norwex. I think our audience will be very interested, surprised, and at the same time, they're going to be relieved. They're going to say, oh my gosh, she is just like me. So take it away.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I am a physical therapist. I work with children. So that is my, my main job. And I have a mom of two. I have two kids. Evelyn is 3 and Wyatt is 5. And, a husband. And so I have a physical therapy practice. I work for myself. So I have my own business, and I go into different homes doing early intervention visits. And I bring a big bag of toys, and that's how I 5 years ago discovered Norwex. I was pregnant with my son, and I guess it's been a little over 5 years now, I guess. And I had a patient who had a very high infection risk, and the mother was told by the doctor to use a lot of bleach, clean the house, bleach, to reduce the risk of infections, even diluted bleach in his baths. And make a long story short, she stumbled upon Norwex, and she became a consultant. So when I came in with that big bag of toys, she had asked me, how are you cleaning the toys in between your visits? And I said, well, I have this little tube of Lysol wipes in my bag. And she's like, well, would you consider using this? And she handed me an EnviroCloth. And I didn't understand it at all. I walked, I left the house. I said, well, sure, I'll try it. But I thought she was nuts. And I didn't buy into it. But I am a researcher by nature. So I went home. I researched a ton about it. I liked what I saw. And then I tried the cloth, on my own house. And I was kind of like running all over the place, cleaning every little surface I could that I'd never cleaned before. And I got excited, and I called her and I asked her if she, was doing parties, and she was willing to come over, and she did. And then I think I had maybe 4 or 5 people there, and it was mop month, and I got the mop and I got everything. I had a pretty good party, and and so that's what happened there. And I would continue. I was a smart customer because I would continue to just have parties about every year just to get free things. I'm sure I was asked along the way because, I had at least 2 consultants, and I'd been to other parties before from other people. So I know that I had been asked to join, but I really don't remember that. So I guess I just didn't hear it at the time. Fast forward to 7 months ago, and I'm still using Norwex. And my friend was a consultant, and she had a VIP page. And I was always posting in her page before and after pictures and, you know, little things. And she would message me one night about 10 o'clock at night. And she said, you know, you should just join Norwex because you're posting on my page and you're getting me business. She's like, you might as well do it for yourself. And she said, this month is a join for free month. So I could join for the $10 and there was no sales requirement. So I text her back and I said, sure, how do I sign up? Go ahead, sign me up. Well, she's like, well, you have to do it. You know, you have to sign yourself up. So I did. And that was it. But I told her I don't want to do any parties ever. I said, you don't have to include me in any groups or on any emails. Don't expect anything from me is basically what I told her. And I didn't even open my box when it arrived, my little basic package and some minimal business supplies that they sent me. I don't think I even opened it for 3 weeks. I didn't. I called my upline.
You are killing me.
I called my upline leader and I was asking questions and she finally said to me, have you ever opened the box? I had never even signed on to Norwex.biz. I just didn't. And I didn't think that this was going to be something I was going to like to do or even do. So yeah, that's how
clearly you came in for a deal. Let's call it like it is. You came in for a deal. You know, $10.
Yep, that's what I did.
And I guess it would be safe to say first lesson is never prejudge just because somebody A comes in for the deal or B tells you I'm not doing anything, don't get me involved, because life shifts all the time. And people's position get shifted. They change in life and they make different decisions.
Definitely.
And so tell us about your fabulous launch party that you never really had.
Yeah, when I joined, I think, so this would have been either July or August. I can't remember which. I don't remember which month it was. Maybe it was August. It was Mop Month. So I think in July, the end of July, I had a launch party. I invited all my close friends and family, and I made food, and I did all this stuff. I cleaned my house. I had demo stations set up, blah, blah, blah. And a whopping 2 people showed up, one of which was my mom, so that she doesn't really count because they have to come, right? And her friend. And her friend came, but so we just kind of laughed, and I sat around and I told them about it. They were looking through the catalogs, and I said, well, you guys, they're saying they wanted the mop, and I said, well, you can get it for free if you guys want to have a party. So I felt pretty comfortable doing a party because I had been using the products for 5 years, so I did know about them. So they agreed to have a party, and that's how it started spiraling.
Okay, and forgive me. I hope people did not think my laughter or giggling was rude because I'd heard it before, and I'm thinking of the shock value to our audience. Here we have built you up, what you have accomplished in 7 short months, and yet I think it'd be fair to say that you did not have a stellar start, my friend.
No.
And I think it's so encouraging and it's so hopeful because people often think that how they start is how they're going to finish. Well, see, that's the beautiful thing about life, especially Norwex, because you can't go back and change how you started, but you can always every day reinvent yourself to make it different on how you're going to do it, how you're going to execute it, and how you're going to finish it. And I think first off, there was a huge message of hope. Speaking of hope, can you tell us about this picture of you that I scooped off your Facebook page? There you are, looking like you're in a marathon of some kind.
Yeah, I do want to say really quick, I forgot about this. I had no sales the last day of my Fresh Start Step was due, and I threw together a Facebook party, and I actually made that Fresh Start Step 1. I think my upline leader thought I was nuts thinking I was going to get that done, but you can get it done even with hours to spare.
Okay, so you submitted $400 at the final hour on day 15 so that you got your first Fresh Start step, and UPS is dropping off a package of products, right?
Yep.
So there was a little something going on in your head. You just weren't content now to just let it sit.
Something in my head was, I'm kind of type A, so that empty check mark box, that bugged me, so I had to get that done. But, so, yes, the picture is from the Chicago Half Marathon. This was while we were training for the Chicago Marathon, not this past October, but the October before that. And I was not a runner at all. I was sitting in church one day, and I was listening to a story about kids that didn't have clean water, and I was thinking of my own kids. And so I said, okay, if they have to walk 6 miles a day and only have a 50% chance of living with that dirty water, I guess I can try to run a marathon and raise some money. So that's what I was doing in that picture, Training.
And there was a pivotal point for you. And you live 75 miles south of Chicago?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody wants to know where you live, I'm sure of it. Because if they're curious, I'm going to just put it out there. I'm nosy, so I'll ask all the questions I think that they're thinking of. So you shared last night something that you don't share with everyone, and you certainly don't stand up at your parties and wear it like a badge of honor, was the sense I got. But you shared something that touched a lot of people's hearts last night, that they thought going forward they could share that line. Why did it become important to you, or what triggered your mind to all of a sudden start paying attention to chemicals in your home years ago?
I mean, I could say that I definitely started, like I said, I was pregnant when I started, so it was important to me. You start paying attention to things like that a little more. So that was one of them, but I can honestly tell you that was not the reason that I joined Norwex. I cared about that stuff. It wasn't my reason. My reason was for the discount, but my why did change a few months after the marathon. I discovered that I was starting to have migraine headaches, and I had some symptoms during training that were odd. My feet would go numb, I would drag my right leg and stumble and drop things. So I'm a physical therapist, so I thought, my right hand must be weak because I have a pinched nerve in my neck. So I went to the doctor and I asked her for an MRI of my neck, and she recommended to get an MRI of my brain. And I never once gave it a thought, but a couple days later they called me and said they found something. And long story short, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And it's a neurological condition, a progressive one. But one of the things that my specialist told me, because of course you're thinking, how did this happen? How does, you start researching it and they don't really know a cause, but he said his theory was that your genetics load the gun, but your exposure to toxins is what really pulls the trigger. So that to me showed me that, yes, I was predisposed genetically, but maybe if I hadn't been exposed to pesticides from all the, cornfields around me, or whatever, cleaning supplies, or even a virus, because, maybe my immune system was suppressed from all the chemicals I had been exposed to. I don't know, but that definitely did change my why. So sometimes I share it, sometimes I don't. It's not something that I'm hiding at my parties, but I definitely, if it comes out, it comes out, but.
Well, I think, and you know what, Katie, thank you for sharing that, because, I didn't invite you on the call to share your personal story. And yet last night when you shared it, people were very attentive and wanted you to repeat that genetics might have loaded the gun, but exposure to toxins is what will pull the trigger. Everybody gets a huge visual over that.
And I feel like that's the same thing for, not only MS, but for cancers and for other
asthmas, skin
Yeah,
allergies, learning
every,
disabilities that they're discovering. And we're not on this call to sort of become medical, advisors, not at all. Just that it's critical, and that I think Norwex represents hope. Norwex is about a change, isn't it?
yeah,
And
I mean, it's just so exciting to hear, people's lives just getting, I mean, really improving. I mean, exactly what the company's mission statement is. It really does that.
and and I suppose, is it safe to say, most people on our call tonight would not ever say they've ever sold anything. And they certainly were nervous signing up thinking, well, I've never sold anything in my life, so I'm certainly not going to stand up at a kitchen and start selling these expensive cleaning rags.
Yeah, no.
And yet, I would argue anyone that we don't sell very much,
Yeah.
meaning that our job really isn't to sell products, it's to help people buy them.
Yeah, I think with my job as a physical therapist, I educate parents how to, help their kids develop, and I educate people how to exercise to help an injury. And with this, I honestly feel like all you have to do is educate them about the product and how to use it, and show them how to use it. And that's really what it's about. It's not about selling it. It's just about sharing it.
And exactly. And people will make up their own decisions. But the truth is, I can't think of something any more relevant today than the conversations that are now everyday occurrences about environmental concerns, environmental impact, plastics in the ocean, and of course the fact that what are we doing to our immune systems as a whole based on all of our exposures to chemicals. And what do we say? I've got it right here. I pull it out all the time. Sorry, I'm turning my head away. I think I did the same thing last night. That comes in the kit, and it's called the Purpose Booklet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody's got a Purpose Booklet. I think, and I'm going to challenge to give us all confidence, I think you'd have to be living under a rock in North America. Yeah, I said that, and I'm being recorded. You'd have to live under a rock in North America to not be aware that there is an overarching concern and awareness about chemicals in everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where have you been if you haven't heard that? And in this booklet, it tells me, which I'm sharing with you so that you can take this to your parties if you need to, over 80,000 chemicals have been created in the last 50 years, and fewer than 300 of them have ever been tested for their impact on human health.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want it to be a doom and gloom. I want it to be the fact that we're relevant messengers of something that's important to everybody. And that makes the opportunity that you and I are talking about tonight, the opportunity to overcome our courage and ask for bookings, to overcome our fear of, risking offending people by suggesting that they have a Norwex get together, and real crazy thought, let's work up our courage and actually invite people to join us, and so what we're talking about here is stepping out of our comfort zone, relying on the brand of the product, the strength of the mission to support us and carry us through those situations where we are still a little bit nervous because we haven't done this before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to see what questions have maybe come in. Haley asked, where do we get this from? Haley, I would say to you that we probably got it from some very reputable sources. And I noticed that we don't quote them, but I'm going to challenge you, Haley. Why don't you Google, just for kicks and giggles, Google the question, how many chemicals have been created in the last 50 years? The reason I say that is not to deflect any responsibility, but it's funny. I can tell you a lot of things, but when you look for it and find it yourself, somehow you own the information. I'll give you a further example of that. I do this all the time with new consultants, okay? And Billy Joe says, where did I get that stat? It's all in your Norwex Legacy booklet. When I say I challenge you to find your own information out, I don't mean that. And please don't, I hope I don't offend anybody when I challenge you to take responsibility to find out some stuff on your own. When I explain to new consultants the importance of microsilver in our Backlock Enviro products made from microfiber, I can tell you the difference. I've been with Norwex for 5 years. When I was a regional sales manager doing Experience Norwex as my first year, to now when I'm on calls with new consultants, it's funny how 5 years ago I was challenged a lot on microsilver. That is changing today. But when someone says to me, Sheila, my friends don't get this whole silver deal, my response, and I hope that you find this helpful, is I could tell them everything I know, and then they're going to be sharing what they heard from somebody. So I tell them to do what I did. I Googled it. I Googled the healing antibacterial properties of silver, and I learned something. I learned that back in the day when there was no refrigeration and farmers were milking cows, that they would put a silver dollar in the bucket of milk to prohibit the growth of bacteria. Furthermore, when people back in the day, you got cowboys out on the wild, wild west, they've got a canteen, the sun is boiling hot, they got hot water in this metal canteen, and gosh, that's where they're going to take their next drink from. Well, how did they stop bacteria from growing? They threw in a real silver dollar. So I tell people that, and then I say, now go see if I'm telling you the truth. Because what happens is I know what I know, and I am so convinced that I've done my research. And if I can share with other consultants, all of you, on how to own your confidence, check it out, find out, do some research. Make sense? Okay.
Yes, I always use I always say, in healthcare, I always say, is there anybody in healthcare here? And I say, we use silver in healthcare, physical therapists do wound care. I say, we have silver infused dressings. We put Silvadene on wounds and, for the same thing. But
yeah. So
I often remind people that the silver is not what is, it's mechanical cleaning versus chemical cleaning. I think that's where people get confused.
Right, because the silver, you got to rinse your cloths. You can't exactly pick up 29 pounds of raw egg and milk and let it sit in the cloth and expect that tomorrow morning, gosh, the little cleaning fairies come along and have rinsed that sucker out and it smells brand new. I mean, we've all got to take some logical responsibility for rinsing our cloths. But the point is that we're very relevant. And so I want to just move along here for a moment because so tonight, Katie, we've got a lot of consultants who want to promote to team coordinator. They would love to be leading a team. It feels exciting to them. There's some rewards, and they want to take that next step. And I'm just going to interject a few slides, and then I want you to share some more of your story. That belief. The first steps of this Norwex leadership journey to promote to team coordinator is the same steps you took when you became a consultant, whether that was last week or 5 years ago. Belief. Belief was probably the first feeling you ever identified with Norwex because you believed in the products, you believed in the mission, and you believed in the Norwex opportunity. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this call because you wouldn't be a consultant. Going forward, and I get the knowledge, I get the skill set that people think I need. I'm afraid of talking to people. And you notice our call tonight is totally unscripted. We may not get an A+ for being really professional and buttoned up, but we get an A++ for being real and believable. And that's intentional, actually. We're not buttoned up completely because no one's ever buttoned up. And yet we haven't lost anyone on the call. You're intrigued because it's so real and it's so believable, and it's okay that it's not perfect. And I wanted to do that on purpose so that you could see that genuine conversation is what builds this business, first off. But as a consultant, you're now looking for people. When you join Norwex, you wanted to share that belief. Now, belief to me is something that is inside the heart, but the moment you start expressing your belief, it turns into enthusiasm, genuine enthusiasm, not that fake, oh my gosh, you're so gorgeous. I wish I had hair just like you, Mary. You're so over the top gorgeous. Of course, that's phony. People can smell phony a mile away, but genuine enthusiasm, absolutely. You know it, you feel it, you see it. And that's because enthusiasm, the last 4 letters of enthusiasm are IASM. Here's how to do a check to see if your enthusiasm is genuine. I am sold myself. Enthusiasm, I am sold myself. Convinced myself, but sold works. So your internal belief system, what you know to believe in your heart to be true, when you start to express it with other people, it comes across as enthusiasm, and it doesn't have to be over the top crazy. You don't have to be the life of the party. You have to just be genuine. And you use this belief system that you got when you saw Norwex. You use this same belief system, your enthusiasm, and that's how you attract customers. That's how you attract hosts, and it will be how you attract other Norwex consultants. It all starts with belief. There's no magic words. As you're starting out this journey to be intentional, most of you were probably at a Norwex party when you first learned about Norwex. And I remind you of that so that you remember that if that's where you first learned about Norwex, 90% of you, that's where 90% of everybody else is going to learn about it. It's the party. I don't care if you don't like the word party. Call it a coffee chat. Call it a get-together, a demo, an information evening. It's not so much what you call it as what it is. It's just a social gathering of people who are interested in learning something and perhaps will consider making changes because you've raised their curiosity. Not once did I say the word sell, by the way. Next, you were excited to join Norwex. There's not one of you that would give your kit back. I'm sure of it, because if you were going to give your kit back, again, you wouldn't be on my call tonight. So I knew how to answer this one. You were excited about being involved with Norwex. Some of you were shocked. Many of you were honored and flattered. The truth is, you have convinced yourself that anyone you're going to invite to join Norwex is going to think that you're that lady, that crazy sales lady that's just hassling people and tracking them down and, gosh, don't want to offend anybody. Where does that thinking come from? We've all made that up. I'm sorry. I know we have. You know why I know we've made that up? We've bought this fake story that we are telling ourselves every day, because I don't think any one of you on my call tonight thinks that the recruiter who invited you, you're not looking back at her thinking, oh my gosh, what a wingnut. She hassled me. She pressured me. She stalked me. How outrageous that she would think I even looked like the person that needed a job, like I didn't have my act together, that I didn't have money. And what was she thinking? That I would be someone that would sell rags in a kitchen? Come on. Okay, I'm playing with you. You get my point. How can you be thinking that other people have all these wild, random, crazy thoughts about what you are when you invite them to join Norwex when not one of you felt anything but flattered, scared, nervous, overwhelmed maybe? Some of you probably felt that you didn't even come across as someone who could do anything like this. You were a little encouraged. You were a little hopeful. Some of you went home giddy thinking, gosh, I had a crappy day. I go to this little Norwex get-together. Some lady thinks that I've got something special about me. And all of a sudden you start fixing your shoulders and you're thinking I don't know, something shifted. The reason I ask you to remind yourself about you, because I don't want you making up stories anymore, right? I want you to remember what you felt like when you were invited to join Norwex and when you first discovered and saw Norwex in action. You know, if you can go back to that party for a moment, maybe it was 5 years ago, close your eyes. Were you the only one in the room who got excited? Were you the only one in the room who thought that butter demo was all that in a bag of chips? Were you the only one who thought that the dust mitt was pretty cool, or that the cleaning paste was incredible, or that the mop was magical? Were you the only one? Like, you must have been the only one, right? Because, gosh, nobody else gets excited about Norwex. Are you kidding me? Everybody in that room went bananas. Okay, I'm going to give you this much. There's always one person in the room that takes seriously, I get my microfiber at the dollar store. Okay. And does your husband buy his tools at the dollar store? I'm just joking. Don't you ever say that. I like to get a few giggles when we do this. Yeah, really. Yeah. Hubby goes out there and gets a screwdriver from the dollar store and puts together a shelving unit. Yeah, right. He's at Home Depot getting the best one he can buy because he needs it for the next 25 years. Okay, so there's always a skeptic, and I love the skeptics. By the way, can I just give you a little tip about that skeptic at your party, the one that tries to draw all that attention to herself by saying things that really aren't socially acceptable anymore, if you know what I mean? Like, who goes to a party and publicly tries to cut down the consultant? She says it because her life's pretty miserable. Truth. She says it because she walked into that party and her life's a mess, and she decided that tonight she needed to step it up a notch, and so she needs attention because she's not getting attention anywhere else in her life, or not the right kind of attention, and so she doesn't know how to act. She comes to a party and she behaves like that because there's a release happening for her of trying to find some public affirmation that she's worth something. So me sharing that with you, the next time you come across any skeptic, just pretend that they have a sign, that they're wearing a necklace around their neck that says, please make me feel important because nobody else did. Bazinga. How's that for Psychology 101? Okay. As I take you through, because I understand that many of you are consultants, and I want to drive home something yet again for you. I don't use the word services, very rarely. I don't use the word recruit much, and I don't use the word I can't even talk, sell much. I talk about sharing, and I talk about other people wanting to be involved. And I don't talk about services so much as an experience. You see, I think each one of you went through a transformation. At some point, you were introduced to the product, and you loved it. But that wasn't enough. You decided you'd host. Well, you wanted some free stuff. You wanted to get the girls together. It doesn't matter. But you went from being a private user in your home to, hey, I find myself talking about this stuff so much, I'm going to have the girls over, and I want to get that free stuff. So you transformed from a private user to a public sharer to, at some point, you thought, I'm so busy telling everybody else how great this is. I want to get involved. I want to be part of this. That mission is amazing. This company's got purpose. I want to be a part of it. You went through a transformation. And guess what? So do most people. And if you can recognize that that really is a natural occurrence with people, that when you stand at your parties now going forward, I want you to put special glasses on that say, Sheila said that everybody here probably wants to be a customer, but there's some who want a bigger experience. Got to figure out which ones want the bigger experience, because buying it's not going to be enough for them. No, they want to share it with people. And yet there's probably somebody tonight that probably could do a better job than me, and I betcha she wants to get involved. When that's your shift in attitude, the world opens up. It absolutely opens up. There's no more nervousness. And how you can get to that place is reminding yourself, like I just did, when I took you through what happened to you and how you morphed through using the product to sharing it to now telling others about it. That's it. It's pretty simple. So some will want to create their own safe haven. They love being your customer. But not everybody wants to stay there. They want to share it with those they care about. They are anxious to host. And there are some who think, hosting's great. I love the free stuff, but enough of this. I just want to get involved. Now, they don't necessarily wear a sign around their neck that says, recruit me, recruit me. That's our job. We're going to ask questions, and we discover who wants to be a consultant. I go back to Debbie Bolton. This company was founded 19 years ago by Debbie Bolton's belief. And you know what's hysterical, Katie? Do you know how much Debbie's sales were at her very first Norwex party?
No.
I'm going to tell you. Debbie was, I got to take a sip of water. And the reason I have a plastic bottle, if you don't mind, is I'm downstairs in my office and I'm tired of spilling glasses. So I reuse a plastic bottle so that I have the lid so that I don't fry my computer because I'm a little accident prone. Okay. Debbie was a very, very well-polished, successful party plan woman who sold dresses and clothing and accessories. When she decided to launch Norwex in North America, starting in Canada, I love telling people this part too. Debbie lived 4 hours north of Winnipeg. Winnipeg is central Canada for all of you who understand the North American geography, center of Canada, okay? She lived 4 hours north. If you went 4 more hours, you'd be running into polar bears, kind of. I'm just teasing. It's that far up north. And town of 8,000 people. Gerd Dorschuk is her friend. Gerd's Norwegian. Debbie was going to do business with Gerd's son and bring in Norwegian imported sweaters. And Debbie was going to start her own party plan company selling imported clothing. Gerd comes back from visiting her sister in Norway and comes with this little red cloth. Gerd's sister had given it to her. It was a cloth that they used in Norway to get bugs off of windshields with just water. Debbie's at the kitchen table. There's Gerd with this little red cloth. There's Gerd's son who wants to talk about the import of Norwegian sweaters. And there's Debbie who does not understand a word of Norwegian. And all of a sudden something came over and she said, I'm not doing sweaters. Gerd, we're ahead of our time, but trust me, if we can show people that they can do something without chemicals and just water, this is what I'm supposed to be doing in my life. She says to Gerd, go back, phone your sister, ask her if she can find the man that owns this cloth, that makes this cloth, and see if we can get an appointment with them. Come with me, you interpret for me. I want to see if he'll take a risk and let me develop a party plan company around this Enviro cloth, and we'll start in Canada. 19 years ago, nobody cared about the environment very much, except if you were already inclined and you lived kind of West Coast probably, or you lived around water. People weren't into hearing about the environment. We were a disposable society. She had a tough road ahead of her. Her first party, she sold one Sperry sponge, $2.98. If she had quit and gave up because of one bad experience, where would we all be? So I always tell people, if you're a little nervous still, I want you to lean in on Debbie Bolton's confidence, belief, passion, vision. And you know what? You can jump on and hold on to her for the first couple of months for your confidence and your belief. Because trust me, if you stick with it long enough, you can fly away because you're going to grow your own wings. And thank God for Debbie Bolton, because if she had given up, and let's face it, 99% of us would have, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have had this conversation, and the world certainly wouldn't have benefited from the global movement of Norwex. So I say, like I said last night, just lean in on Debbie. So what is this idea about leadership? It's a big crazy word. And, I think, Katie, when you bought that $9.99 kit, were you thinking that one day you were going to be all that in a bag of chips, earning big money, and getting a car bonus?
No. You remember I told you those empty check mark boxes drove me nuts?
Yeah.
I didn't care about the last three, the recruiting ones.
Most people don't.
Nope, I didn't pay attention to those. My recruiting at the beginning, I hope I don't offend anybody or like, I don't know. But
you know what you say, Katie? You do this. You do what I do. Permission to speak freely. Just say that and you're covered.
Okay. It happened on accident at first. I can tell you that. I was not recruiting intentionally, and I made it to team coordinator kind of by accident. Now, I was still asking them. I was still offering the opportunity right from the get-go, but I didn't realize even then to be a team coordinator until I was. You know what I mean?
And that's because this leadership that's developing in most of us, because guess what? We're all leaders. You know what we do every day? We practice self-leadership. You say yes to joining Norwex, put one booking on your calendar, show up at that party, regardless of the efforts. It took a lot of self-leadership to make that happen. And so leadership starts with self-leadership. It always has and it always will. And then when it moves from self, leadership beyond ourselves gets displayed naturally when it's our passion and we are able to influence others by encouraging some kind of effort around a common purpose. A consultant who is doing Norwex parties displays leadership. She's passionate about helping others create safe havens. And she shares her own story, is how she influences. She shares her experience in hopes that she encourages everyone else to do the same thing and reduce harmful chemicals. So the big buzz about leadership is, the good news is every single one of you on this call is a leader. However, as I said before, personal leadership right now, at this point in your journey is really going to be your ability to start directing your own life and lead yourself in the direction that you would like your life to take. It's when you can start to define what you want and how you're going to get there, and of course celebrate then who you are becoming. So we've got self-leadership, and so we're moving into personal leadership. And there's a quote, I wonder if it's on my next slide. Oh no, leadership's not about titles. Today leadership's got nothing to do with titles, power, position, paycheck. It's all about our ability to influence. It's like kids in a playground. We could learn so much from little children. You can walk into any playground, and I'm not talking about the 13-year-old bullies, but you can walk into a kindergarten class of 4 and 5-year-olds. Yes, there's bullies everywhere, I know. But generally, you can see who some of the leaders are. They're the ones who are telling all the other kids how you play this skipping rope game. They're naturally leaders. They're trying to influence the rest of their friends on how to play a game. You see this little leadership in lots of different places when you start to look for it. Who are the people who are influencing others? And so I got a simple plan for you tonight. This is the slide I was working on. And then we're going to get in and hear a lot more from Katie. But I would take a screenshot of this because I actually love this so much. I'm going to start using this now for the next year. Your plan to become a team coordinator, or your plan to kick your business up higher, your plan to become a sales leader, your plan to grow, your plan to influence more people, your plan to contribute to the Norwex mission. You get to define it, but you need a plan. So I'm going to ask you some challenging questions that I do not expect you to answer me. They're thought-provoking. Why do you love your Norwex business? Why? Katie shared with us her why. And people are smart now. Consumers are smart. There's a lot of products out there. People don't want to know how something works or what they're going to do with it until they know why you're the one telling them they should be using it. They want to know why. Why? Why do you like it? Why? What did it do for you? Tell me. You need to start with your why. Center on your why. Why do you love your Norwex business? Why did you say yes to becoming a consultant? Something is driving that. That why is what you share with people. It could be because you need or want a strong income. It could be that the mission statement has a personal tug on your heart. It could be an intellectual thought that the environment needs people to start worrying about it. It could be common sense that chemicals, plain and simple, are pretty nasty. It could come down to families needing to save money. It could be a lot of different things. But once you know your why, then you are in a better position to understand why you want to share this business with others. Because when you put your why into play, that's how it brings value to you. I ask it in a reverse way. A lot of people at first glance, I don't know why I love it, Sheila. I don't know why. I just do. I love my business. Don't give me such a hard time. So I'm going to joke with you, and I'm going to show you another way. I'm going to say this. Pretend I told you Norwex was closing its doors tomorrow. You don't have to tell me what you love. Tell me what you'd miss. Tell me what you'd miss. It's funny, for some of us, it's when you tell us that we're going to lose something, all of a sudden we understand its value. Just wanted to help you out. Norwex is not closing its doors, in case anybody has a hard time hearing. My point is, why do you love it? And once you can assign a value for yourself, that's when you're going to be able to share the business with others. And so why are you going to share it with others? Does it come from a genuine place of wanting to make a difference? Does it come from a desire to lead a team, to build a big, strong business? It's okay that it's about money, by the way. It is. I'm giving you permission. It is okay about the money. Last time I checked, everybody needs money to live life in North America. So it's okay to do it for the money. In fact, most of you do. My next question is, who are you going to invite to join you? Who? You know lots of people. So who are you going to invite? You've got to have a few that you go to first. And the next thing is, well, what are you going to say to them? And then when are you going to start? The toughest question that I just asked you was, when will I start? The toughest one. So just a few things. Reminder before we get started, it is half the qualification this month. And to become a team coordinator, you and three. And in the same month, you're all engaged. Bazinga, you're a team coordinator. Then you receive the $100 Promote and Grow bonus, and you earn 3% on the sales of your new recruits. Katie, when did you become a team coordinator? So take us back to your journey. You started late June, July. You know, you had that launch party where nobody came and you cooked all that food, just your mom and your mom's friend. You had those 2 mop parties. They were happy. And what month do you remember you promoted to team coordinator?
August.
Okay.
I believe it was, well, I think it was August.
Okay. Demario's actually probably could check it out and come back and say, I can tell you when.
Oh, yeah.
Was it August, Mario? I think.
I'm looking at it now.
And so just to remind everybody, Katie joined in June of last year. That is June. And she said the end of June. So I'm going to go July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. 8 months. 8 months.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had 0 sales in June.
What?
I said I had 0 sales in June.
You are just giving so many people hope. Here we got a hot shot who had a pretty fun launch party. No sales. Bought the deal for the Join for Free kit. Told her leader not to call her. She's not interested. And whips together some order at the last minute so she can get that free stuff. Can't even remember when she promoted to team coordinator.
And look, and Sheila,
yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. Actually, in September, she went straight to sales leader. So she double promoted.
Oh, I did. That's right. I forgot. That's right. I remember going to experience Norwex. So I promoted to team coordinator, and then in the same month went to sales leader.
Yeah, because August was one of your biggest months, and then right after that, then you promoted to sales leader.
Yeah.
Demario, how much did Katie sell in August? Coming from a girl who wasn't going to do anything.
$13,385.
Katie, they're dying to know. August, all of a sudden, light bulbs go off. You sell $13,000, and I got to just do the math because I love math. $13,000 times 35%. So that month, you know, 2 months ago, you bought this $10 kit that you didn't even open, and less than 8 weeks later, that little box made you $4,550, and you promoted to sales leader, which gave you another $250 bonus, $100 for promoting to TC, then $150 for promoting to sales leader. How did you go from 0 to superstar in August? This is what people want to know. So give us the whole spiel. What happened? What light bulbs went off?
In July, I remember sitting there with my husband and, just thinking like, I had parties that month and a few parties and saying, wow, I made 6,000 in sales. Like my upline leader was, she was calling me, kind of asking what I was doing and, congratulating me and encouraging me. And I thought to myself, well, this has got to just be a fluke. This has got to be a fluke. There's no way that it's going to ever happen again. I'll never hit $6,000 again. So when the next month hit and I saw, how many parties I had on my calendar. Now I will remind you that August was mop month. So a lot of people were excited about that. And because because I was talking about it and I was letting them know, it wasn't like they just came to me all begging to have a party. I mean, I did have to talk about it quite a bit. And I think because I've been asked before how many parties I had in August, and I think it was a total of 12, but 10 of those were home parties. I don't often do a ton of Facebook parties.
Okay, so you've got 2 young kids. Were you at this point still working any of your pediatric business?
Yeah, I was seeing 30 patients a day or a week. And and I'm not going to lie, August was nutty. That was a nutty month. It was too much. It was too much for me. I can't manage 12 parties a month every month.
Something, no apologies. No apologies. Because all you're talking about, which is real, is you found yourself with too much good stuff, but it was too much for Katie, too much for Katie's family, other obligations, had to put the brakes on a little bit. That's okay. What people want to know, Katie, okay, you had these bookings, mom and mom's friend. How did you get more bookings? What did you say? Did you have to pick up the phone and call people to get a booking? What did you say at parties that built this calendar, if you will, of success almost overnight?
Okay, I think you've probably heard the term booking seeds before. That is what I was doing without really knowing that I was doing it, I guess. So at the beginning when I was sharing, my story, which is how, you should start your party by just letting them know kind of how you found Norwex, how you got there. I started to talk about, thanking the hostess that they can get a lot of free stuff for booking. And and then I also talked about it again when I was demoing the mop. I tell them that there's 3 ways you can get the mop. You can buy it and it's worth every penny. You can host and you'll get this mop for free with the hostess credit, and or you can join Norwex as a consultant and you'll get it along with $287 worth of product for $10. So I started to just talk that way. And then I also I did a booking game and it's called the Dice Game. I think that's how you can find it. But I just used envelopes because I didn't have anything fancy. I didn't really know exactly how it worked with the dice. But so say I had 10 people coming, and I can tell you that I do have pretty good turnout with my parties. But what I tell them is just, I'm very simple with the hostess. I don't want to overwhelm her. I know a lot of people have great success like giving their hostess packets and stuff. I just find that when I was doing that at the beginning, they were coming back like untouched. So my people weren't looking at that stuff. So I said, okay, if they're not looking at it, I'm not going to spend my time making that. So I just tell the hostess, your only job is to invite 40 people, because that way 10 people will come and you will more than likely get the $1,000 package. And that's all I tell my hostesses. And
can I ask you something? Because if I was in the audience, I'd be like going, like, I gotta ask you something. Okay, you say you tell your host to get 40 people. What if someone comes back to you and says, "Oh my gosh, you kidding me? I don't even know 40 people." How do you handle that?
I say you don't have to have that many. You don't have to, but I give them ideas. So I'll say, you know, your friends, your relatives, your coworkers, your kids' friends. You know, maybe you don't have 40 best friends, but you know 40 people, or you know, even 30 people. You know, just to ensure that 8 to 10 people show up. And I assure them that if 10 people do not RSVP, I'm still going to come. I'll come for just you. You know, I don't want them to think I won't do that, but I just tell them in order to get what they want, then that's what they'll need to do.
Okay. And what would you give in the way of a host package, if you will, at a party?
So let's see, for a host, like what I guess at the beginning I was doing, you know, the hostess rewards, and I do still do that. I usually text that to them or email it to them. That way they can't lose it, but I'll email them the rewards and I go over that with them so they know very well what they can earn.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was doing the 40 guests in 30 minutes. And I was giving them a sheet, and it had friends, and then it had 10 numbers under 10s or under friends, so they could fill that out. And I would give them an extra hostess credit if they filled that out.
So could I suggest to you that this list that you would give them is like a Frankie list for hosts?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
thought starters, just groups of people she knows, so she can, you know, think outside the box, you know.
So the game that I would play, if I thought I was having 10 people there, I would bring 10 envelopes. In 5 of the envelopes, it would say book a party. And then in parentheses, I would say still get a free product. And then in the other 5 envelopes, I would do a prize. Now at the beginning, I didn't have a lot of inventory. I had a few things from my Fresh Start steps that were doubled up that I already had, so I used them. But most of the time, I would just do either $5 off or $10 off of a laundry detergent or 20% off, whatever you wanted to do. And that's what they would win. Now I would let them know. I'd say, now we're going to do this quick game so I can give away some free stuff. You do not have to play. I said, I have these 10 envelopes here, and I said, and I'm going to tell you what's inside of them. Half of them say book a party, the other half say this. Again, you don't have to play, but if you get book a party, then, you know, whatever you have in your envelope, that's your envelope, but you don't have to play. Most of the time, people would play. Occasionally, like, you're always going to have that person that's going to say, if I pick book a party, do I have to book a party? Well, I mean, at the beginning, when I was like, no, you don't. But now I feel like I have a little more confidence, so I'll say, no, you know what? If you don't want to book a party, I just wouldn't play then. You know, I say it nicely, but I wouldn't play, because essentially you want to say, well, no, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, well, I love what you said. You gave everyone yet again hope. in the beginning, a little nervous,
Yeah.
you would kind of fluff it off. You're
Yeah.
confident. You're a confident businesswoman now. So you just say, well, no. So you've shifted, you've grown as your business has grown. So it's okay to start off unsure and soft, if you will, until you find your comfort zone to be able to sort of say, no, this is my business. I take it seriously.
Yeah, I kind of joke around and I'll just say, well, no, if you absolutely don't want me in your house, don't. And I'll just laugh with them, and they'll usually laugh back. And sometimes they'll say, oh, fine, I'll take one. And sometimes they're, maybe they're the skeptic in the room and they don't want to have a party,
Now,
and that's fine. You don't really want to have a party with those type of people anyway, I guess.
Why would you beg someone to have a party for you? Gosh.
Yeah. No,
I wish people would approach their business the same way they would approach giving advice to their teenage daughter when it comes to dating. You wouldn't tell your daughter to go chase the guy down the hall just to get a date. You wouldn't tell her to chase a guy to ask her to marry her. So why would you chase down anything in your business? It's funny how, to me, it's all real life. But the question I do have for you is, last night you shared this other game. I got to tell you, for me personally, like Sheila Hercules personally, the second game you shared is the one that made me think, now that got me excited. That is so doable. Can you tell everybody what that one is?
So this is 2 bags in a box. So you can make up 2 gift bags, bring them to your parties. They can have a product in them, or they can have a piece of paper that says, percentage off or whatever you're feeling like you want to give. You have 2 I make them pretty, tissue paper and everything. They look like a present. I just set them so everyone can see them, but I don't talk about them yet until the end. And I'll say, now I know, and they're sitting on this box, like a gift box. They're sitting on top of it, and I'll just say, okay, now I'll explain that, they can ask questions and do whatever, and I'll be in the other room when you guys are ready to check out. I'll be in the other room, and you can come in one at a time. And but the first 2 people to get up and go grab those bags gets to take that product home tonight. And I'll tell them what's in the bags. A lot of times, because I find that my customers are getting most excited about some of the enzyme cleaners. I'll put the mattress spray in there, or the oven and grill cleaner, something like that. So I will put that in there, and I'll tell them what's in there, and I'll tell the hostess what's in the box. And I'll tell them, when you take those 2 bags, that means that you're going to put a date on the calendar with me to host your own party and share Norwex with your friends and family. Now, when these 2 bags are gone, they both have to be gone. Your hostess is going to get what's in the box. And so what that does is it takes the pressure off of me, and I go to the other room, and you can hear them in the other room. Well, who's going to do the party? Well, the hostess is saying, well, I want what's in that box. So, whatever you have to do, someone's going to do this, because I want whatever's in that box. So she starts to work the room for you. And it's worked really, really well. There's been a couple times I've gone home with, there's been a couple times I've gone home with 2 of the bags, but it doesn't often happen.
And it's okay if it does. It's real life. I mean, now finish explaining the dice game. Or the envelope game. You give all these, and then how do you get to it?
So then I just walk around and I offer them to pick one. When the ones that pick one, they get a prize. And then the ones that book a party, then they schedule a party with me, but then they get to pick a prize, and I will bring that product. They get to pick a $30 or under product, and I'll bring that product to their show for them. So it gives them a little bit of incentive to book. And then if a person who got a prize still wants to book, I'll give them, something extra at their show as well.
What would the value of the prize be in the envelopes that aren't about booking a party?
I would separate, a makeup cloth package or a body cloth. and I'd give one, or I'd break up dishcloths and just give one of the dishcloths, things like that.
Okay, so you pass out these envelopes. How do you play a game with them, or that's it? Everybody just opens them.
They just open them, and there's a card inside, and it's written in the card. Yeah, they just open them, and that whatever they have, then they bring it to checkout.
So the game is really you giving stuff away.
Yeah, the game is me giving stuff away, and basically it's a game of risk. You take the risk to win a product. The risk is booking a party, but you still get something free, so no one really loses.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Now, can you give us an example? Let's say I was a consultant on your team tonight, Katie, and I'm in awe of you. I admire you because you've really fast tracked your team. I want to ask you. I'm a consultant and I don't have any bookings.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say to me if I was on your team to help me get some bookings on my calendar? What advice would you give to me as a consultant? Because I want more than I'm having right now with my business, and I got nothing on the go. What are you going to tell me?
I would tell you, don't stress, because it literally takes one party and you're back in business. So don't stress out about not having any. We're going to talk about how to get one. And I always, always, always go back to the Frankie list. I know people think it's a little bit hokey or whatever. They don't think that people actually do it. But I did that list at the beginning. I didn't have all those bookings just from those 2 parties. I made a list, and I incentivized people, but I did just pretty much tell them, I have this awesome stuff I have to show you. I know you're going to love it, and you'll get free stuff. When can we do it? And just, it doesn't have to be this big grand thing, that you just having a conversation and asking them if they'll be willing to, if they want to see it, not even if they're willing, just if, do you want to learn about this? And
do you want to learn about Norwex? Do you want to learn about Norwex? That's a nice phrase.
Yeah, or do you want to learn, basically it's about learning. That's really what I call, a lot of times I don't say the word party because it stresses people out. They think they have to clean their house, make food, all this stuff. And some people, they have anxiety about that, but I just say, can I come over and just, a demonstration or a Norwex class? Sometimes I'll call it a class.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, the other thing I want you to answer for people, because I'm thinking this would be something that they're curious about. You have a lot of bookings now, and you have a lot of success. At those bookings, I guess, is where you started recruiting.
Yeah.
What do you say to people to invite them to join your team? Because I can tell you that your team size is about 85, and since that June night, 8 months ago, you've personally recruited over 50 people. 50. Yeah. How does one do that? I just want to recruit 3 and promote to team coordinator. So where do I start? What do I say?
I wish I could tell you I have a script and I know exactly what I say. I think it changes with every person, but in general, I just think that I'm sharing how much I love it right from the get-go. I mean, I really did love Norwex before I was a consultant. For 5 years, I loved this stuff. So I feel like they see that I love it, and they know that I have another, maybe they see that I have another job or whatever, and that it's not, maybe they feel like it's not for the money or whatever, and they just know that they feel that genuine love for the products. I feel like if you convey that, they trust you, and I just tell them what an awesome deal this is. I mean, that if you love these products, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't join this company and join this mission. I just say, and essentially it really is a risk-free venture, because even if you can say that it costs $200 to start, but the company gives you 3 months to work towards getting your kit for free. Or, and they'll say, oh, well, I don't want to have parties or this and that. You could just say, okay, that's fine. But if you're willing to host just one party, then that's at least going to make you, around $200 in commission. That way, if you get charged that $200, you at least, you're not out any money. And usually, when you put it that way, they usually agree to that.
Okay. And you have some team coordinators on your team?
Yes. It's so, like, I guess the expression is my team is wide right now, right? And not as deep. So that means that I have more personal recruits than downline. But my team is starting to recruit, so I'm excited about that.
And your approach is just very natural, genuine conversation. You don't go in heavily scripted at all. You speak from the heart. You obviously have a genuine belief, genuine enthusiasm that Norwex is a great place to hang out, and that you invite people to join you and become part of your team. That's it.
Yeah. I think just being super casual about it almost, you don't want to freak them out and act nervous or act like it's a really big deal, because then that starts to make them nervous. You just kind of act like it's no big deal.
Mm-hmm. So I want to just go forward for a few more slides. I want to just make sure compensation plan, promote and grow. We talked about believe. I'm going the wrong way. Oh, pardon me. I just want to. I'm just checking. Frankie list. You mentioned a Frankie list. I thought that I could throw this up and people could actually take a picture of it with their camera if they wanted to. You mentioned that most every time when you were in a place where you needed to refocus, but more importantly, what you would tell consultants on your team is that one party can fix everything. Mm-hmm. And all they need is that one party start again, if you will, and you tell them to use the Frankie list. And so what I wanted to show here is sort of my version of it. It is the Frankie list, friends, relatives. So we know that the Frankie is an acronym for friends and family, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, kids. If you have young kids, chances are you know the parents of your kids' friends, and I is for everything internet, social. A reminder, Katie, just to support what you said, that the Frankie list is really just an ongoing business resource. It's an inventory list. They're leads, and a lead is just the name of someone that you think you would like to do business with. What I love about the Frankie list, though, is it lets you bucket groups of people. So you're not thinking that you need to come up with 100 friends. Come up with 5 or 10 friends. And then it's a question of, why would Norwex be of interest to them? You're excited to share it, but there's got to be probably something that you're thinking would be a little specific to your best friend Nancy, or your Aunt Mary, or your cousin Shelley, or your next door neighbor Nancy, or your children's, one of your kids at play school plays with Tommy, and Tommy's mom is Kathy. Or whatever. So there's a connection of how you know people, and you probably almost like someone who is a matchmaker for dating. You're just trying to connect the dots for people. Here are the people you know. Here are all the things that Norwex does for families, and you try to just connect the dots. Can I take this idea of connecting the dots one step further? That most people, not most people, if you don't have bookings on your calendar, or they're few, you have a few of them, not many, chances are, if we were being really honest with each other, we would we would look at your available dates, and I would probably find out that you're not even prepared to handle a booking because you've gotten into this rut of not having many bookings, so you don't even treat it like a business. And so you don't have a list of available dates. You're going to just wait, and when you get a booking, you're going to fit it in because you want it so badly. That's what I think, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I'm going to challenge you to do another. So you've got this Frankie list. Who do you know? And connecting the dots. To be intentional and to feel like you're back in business or you're in control, you're driving your results, you're showing yourself your own personal leadership. What if you took a piece of paper and it's middle of February and let's do next 6 weeks out, right? 2 weeks in February, 4 weeks in March. Go through your personal calendar. This is, again, as hokey as anything. I'm not saying do 29 parties. What I am saying is you need to know your capacity for your business. I want you to write down on a piece of paper 6 to 8 available dates, if possible, that you could do a party. You just wish you had one to do, but Tuesdays or Thursdays or Saturdays, or you look at what's going on in your family and you take care of family first, and then you have this leftover time for your business. I'm suggesting you take another piece of paper, and what it is your available dates, okay? Because we're running the business with your schedule, right? We're not waiting for the world to tell you what their schedule is. So you've got all these available dates, okay? And you can't see it. It looks really, it's so silly. Like you're going to laugh when I show you what I was drawing. Can you see it? A little small piece of paper. These were your available dates, okay? Hardly big art. But now you go to your Frankie list. And from your Frankie list, I want you to pick the 10 most likely, which really becomes the 10 that are easiest for you to talk to. And that's okay as a starting point, but don't finish there, because those that you find easiest to talk to probably find you easy to talk to, which means you're easy to say no to. Okay? Just food for thought. So why not pick 10 most likely would book based on all the reasons you know that Norwex would be of interest to them, because you've done some dot connecting on your Frankie list. So now you come up with a list. I'm just going to write it down, and it's just me, it's just jokes here. Tim, Nan, and Mary B. Okay, so now my list looks like this. My available dates from my Frankie list, my most likelies. My most likelies. Do you know what your job is? I'll use you won't be able to see it. What you're trying to do is connect the dots. That's your business plan. To me, that's your business plan to get going when it seems like you got nothing on the go with bookings. You bring it down to one piece of paper that you can manage because you've done your homework. You did your Frankie list. And you pulled out all those chicken names of people that you're chicken to talk to. Because you got to overcome your chicken list, okay? You know the people I'm talking about. So you've done your Frankie list, remember, and you connected some dots. You take your available dates and you take your 10 best picks from your Frankie list, and all you worry about is figuring out who's having a party on what night. Okay, it sounds pretty simple, but isn't this a wonderful place to start instead of just thinking about it, instead of just hoping for it? So, I don't know. What do you think of that idea, Katie?
I like it. Yeah, that is what I would say. And I mean, you have to think about it as like, do you really know anyone who doesn't clean, who doesn't, really, maybe they don't like to, but you know all these products, they appeal to everyone. They just don't know how much they need it yet. And that's your job to make that known to them, I guess.
And Katie, I mean, you really just simplify everything. Are there any specific resources on the consultant back office that you recommend to those who want to become intentional with their bookings so that they become intentional with inviting others to join them so that they can quickly promote to becoming a team coordinator? So remember, team coordinator is me and 3 personal recruits, and in the very same month, we all put in half a party. That's what I call it. 250 engaged is half a party. Because we know that, you know.
I would say the resources, like with the product information sheets and kind of knowing the product is a really great thing. I mean, when you're doing the party, you want to be knowledgeable. So I would say, you know, get to know those product information sheets. Maybe not every product, but the most popular ones, the household package, the stuff that you're going to be talking about. I love if you go to the Ask Nora, how you can basically use that as your Norwex like Google. And there's awesome videos from our top leaders that explain exactly how to go through those recruiting conversations.
Yeah.
I know Chris Carlson just put up a video, and I love that video.
Yes, because we have some, I'm just going to go through, we have some new resources. We have this new, did I skip too fast? We have this new Norwex Opportunity brochure, just a nice update, and I wonder if I put it here. Under resources, Norwex Opportunity, there are a whole bunch of four Chris Carlson brand new videos on how to recruit at a party, what to say. Fabulous. And it's I mean, it's important work that we do, but maybe we take it sometimes a little too serious and we're hard on ourselves thinking, you know, it's complicated. Would you say, is it a fair statement, Katie, to say that you would not know everything that there is to know about every product?
That's very true. I do not know everything. But I just tell them I'll find out before I leave tonight, because normally I can either quick send a text to my upline leader, ask her. I can put up the question on our Facebook page, or I can go to the Norwex back office, you know, while they're still shopping at the end of the party, and I can look that up really quick for them. So I always just say, if I don't know the answer, I'll find out for you.
And there's no harm in that. Have you been ever embarrassed that you didn't know the answer to a product question?
No, I think that it just shows that anybody can do this. If you go and you act like you know every fact, they're going to say, oh my gosh, she's been studying this. I don't have the time to learn all this stuff. I think it makes it more real when you're not perfect at a party, so that they see that you don't have to be.
Right, and people appreciate honesty. Look, I've been at Norwex for 5 years working corporate. I've never, ever used Leathershine. Never.
Me neither.
I've never used our drain care. Never. I think it's a pretty big deal that I got the magnet ball in my washing machine.
I love the Leathershine, by the way, Sheila.
You love the leather? Oh my gosh!
I love the Leathershine. I just want to. They keep my heart bottoms right. So thank you.
See, and that's a product I know nothing about. And so if I was in Texas, I'm from Toronto. So if I was in Texas and a cowboy asked me, "Is the Leathershine good for my saddle?" I'd have to stand there and say, "Dude, I am so embarrassed because I'll get you the right answer, but I don't know about that product. I buy my, I could get really funny right now. You can tell I've had a long night. I buy my shoes at Payless, man. I don't own anything leather. Okay, I'm killing myself. The point is, you know, you don't have to have all the answers. And you said something that was key to me. You said household pack. I was listening and I'm thinking to myself, note to self, Sheila, on your next consultant calls or when any consultant ever asks you what product should I focus on, I got my answer. The ones that came in your kit and the ones in the household pack, and everything else will happen naturally. Because, I'm a big believer, Katie. Of course, I love casual and fun, but I'm also a big believer that this business, if you think that the way to get ahead is to sit behind your computer and study it and learn it, all that knowledge is wasted when you don't step. So think of here you are, the student of your business in your classroom at your laptop. You're learning. Oh, you're so smart. But if you don't go on a field trip and get out of the classroom and get some real experience, your knowledge is wasted. No one will ever benefit from everything you've done to load your brain up with all that knowledge because you will not venture out of your classroom. You're in laptop lockdown. I just made that up. I love it. You're in laptop lockdown. Sorry, I love to giggle. Sorry, Kim. Okay. People are writing in about leather shine. See? See? It's funny. You mentioned something and all of a sudden, oh yeah, I love it. Great. Look, we're at our time and I want to honor most of us. I don't even know what time it is. Okay, we're just 4 minutes over. You're all going to get a recording of this, and the slides that you saw that I presented tonight will be on that slideshow. I felt it was more important, and you tell me, write in. The only people who can see the comments are Demario and I. And, I take my job very seriously at Norwex. I do a lot of these webinars, a lot. My third one today, I'm a little crazy. So we did something different tonight. We had a conversational interview with Katie Tarr with a little bit of stuff from Sheila Hercules to provide you with an opportunity tonight to take a closer look at what your future could be. The intention is to move your business to team coordinator, to take that first early step of leadership. But we're smart enough to know that all the good intentions and all the great training of this and that and this and that would be lost if you were sitting here struggling because it's February, because in many places it's winter and the snow and it's cold and there's been a lot of flu and you're struggling with bookings. So we thought we would do a whole spin on this Promote to TC by helping you get there by first starting with the obvious. Everything starts at the party. Our focus tonight was to drive home the importance of a party and what happens at it and how to have a good solid calendar. And Katie shared with us her journey. Mostly what I wanted you to learn from Katie was that you and her are not unlike each other. You both have full lives. You had a life before you walked into Norwex. Many of you, like Katie, just happened across Norwex and it just became this thing that grew. You maybe had no intentions to grow beyond just a few parties here and there for kicks and giggles, but now you want more. And Katie's an example of being intentional, being focused, of trying new things, of being courageous. You didn't hear from Katie a lot of scripted responses. You didn't hear a buttoned-up approach of, well, I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and then, of course, I send that, and then I do that, and oh, my gosh, it all comes together. She was having a conversation with you like, well, I just tell them this, and then I say that, and, then I usually tell them that, and, yeah, and if it does, it's not because we wanted to diminish the fact that Katie is a senior executive sales leader who makes a good income and is a blessing for Norwex because she's sharing with you, but for you to see that you don't have to be all buttoned up. You just have to be a little focused, a little intentional, and you know what? As much as tonight's call, we spoke to your heart and we inspired you, right? You're all inspired. You're all full of hope. Your heart's just beating. You love it. And you learned a lot from Katie, and maybe a tip from Sheila. And so you got all this stuff that's going on in your brain, like, I can do it. This is simple. This is easy. This is fun. Okay? But at the end of the day, the one thing Katie and I can't do for you is we can't make your feet move. We can't make you get up off the chair and do something with anything we've given you. My hope is that your self-leadership is disciplined enough that you've recognized that if you want some of what Katie has, or some of what you've already decided you want, that you realize that for that to happen, you will have to happen. You will have to show up. I think tonight we gave you lots of meat, lots of value for your time, that we've given you the tools and the motivation and the encouragement and the support. There was nothing in it for Katie to give tonight, an hour and a half, 2 hours, last night, 2 hours. She's got a team of 80. She could be focused totally on those people and just loving on them. And she doesn't even know you, and she came here tonight. So on behalf of all of you, because I'm sure you would say it if I open up the lines, Katie, we appreciate you. The generosity that you have shown for people who you don't know, whose businesses success will not affect yours, but rather for the good of Norwex, for the good of the Safe Haven community that we're all a part of. I want to thank you for leading the way, stepping outside and just giving and serving others. May you be blessed forever for the good heart that you have, and we appreciate it.
Well, it's an honor to be on the call. So I thank you for having me.
Well, I hear some comments coming in, and they love it. They wouldn't have hung in so long. And ask for, just people were inspired, because I think at the end of the day, what most people want, and I think what Norwex is, we're just real people with real solutions trying to make a real impact. And along the way, we're just really telling it like how it is. So I'm going to have this recorded and sent to you.